How's it going, everyone? I'm Keegs, and Disney Plus has been releasing a lot more Star Wars content on their streaming service, and it's kind of come to my attention after talking with family and friends that they don't understand exactly where these all fit in the greater timeline. So I wanted to take a moment to break down the timeline of each of these series because I think it's taken a little bit for granted by diehard fans and even the directors that don't explicitly tell you when all this stuff is supposed to be happening. So we're going to talk about exactly when each of these series takes place, kind of some of the stuff before it and some of the stuff after it, and things you might be interested to give you a better, well-rounded view of each of these series. Today we're going to be talking about Kenobi, which is supposed to release May 27th now, and this takes place roughly 10 years after Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. If you remember, that's the one where Anakin eventually ultimately turned to the dark side, became Vader, got his limbs cut off by Obi-Wan, and left to die on Mustafar, and then he becomes Darth Vader. We can actually tell this for a few reasons. So first, with the trailer that released for Kenobi, he is narrating at the beginning saying, "The war is over, we lost."
The fight is done. We lost.
And immediately that should tell you, okay, this has to take place after Episode 3 because Order 66 was executed and they lost the war. Essentially, he's now in hiding. So it can't take place anytime before Episode 3. Second, we know that Obi-Wan dies, or more accurately, becomes one with the Force in Episode 4 when he ultimately fights Darth Vader. So we know that takes place in Episode 4, so this must be somewhere in between Episode 3 and 4. Now, the most telling piece of evidence, though, is this shot right here. And in this shot, we see a 10-year-old Luke Skywalker that he's looking after. And that very easily is able to narrow down exactly when this takes place. So we know it takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, which is almost exactly halfway in between Episode 3 and 4. So if we know if this takes place halfway between Episodes 3 and 4, about 10 years after, then we know in 5 years the animated series Rebels takes place. Then immediately that rolls right into Rogue One, which rolls right into Episode 4. One of the main villains is going to be the Grand Inquisitor, who we met in Star Wars Rebels. And a lot of people think that Obi-Wan's just going to hand him his butt and easily whoop him. But I'll have you remember that the Grand Inquisitor used to be a Royal Temple guard, so I'm sure he can hold his own in a fight against Obi-Wan. That being said, I do think Obi-Wan will outclass the Grand Inquisitor and probably be the reason that Vader has to step in at all. I mean, I think Vader would want to step in anyway because he probably wants a rematch at Obi-Wan again. But we know, or we suspect, that there's going to be a fight with Vader because of the reason that Obi-Wan said he tried to turn Vader back to the light side at one point, but failed. We never really saw that, and I know they fought on Mustafar, but he wasn't really trying to turn him back to the light side. It felt like he was just trying to stop him at that point and kill him, kind of, but definitely stop him, not really pull him back. It would make more sense if after 10 years of meditating and thinking about it, he then wants to try to turn Vader back to the good side, and this will be the definitive conclusion to him after this series, that Vader is too far gone and cannot be pulled back to the light. So there you have it. Now you know, Kenobi takes place halfway in between Episode 3 and Episode 4. And we know in between Kenobi and Episode 4, there's then Rebels 5 years after Kenobi, and Rogue One that immediately after that. So we also know that Obi-Wan, the last time he saw Anakin, was on Mustafar when he cut his limbs off and left him to die. So it'll be an interesting meeting should they do that in this series. But stay tuned for more timeline talks, and we're going to help you understand exactly where you are in the universe. But I'm Keegs, and may the Force be with you.